Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest album from Verikalpa, Tuoppitanssi, out February 21st on Scarlet Records. This album has 11 tracks, 46 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. The boys are back in town and they have one beer in one hand and they're ready to battle. That is pretty much the feel that I got listening to this record. This album, in my opinion, more so than the previous record, really blends folk, death, black metal and symphonic metal all together to really give a very unique style and sound that is really the DNA, the fingerprint, if you will, of this band. Perhaps more present or more refined in this record than the previous record. I really felt that the previous record was a lot more raw. This one feels a lot more clean, more polished, more well defined, and therefore you could feel the influences of all of those different genres, all of those different styles coming at play in the way the songs are coming at you, in the way the songs are structured, and then obviously in the overall style of the record and how the record plays to you. This is an album that they took the previous record and they turned it to 11. That is how this record will play out to you. I felt that this album was a lot more intense. There was a lot more heaviness to the music. Specifically really coming from the drums and the guitars. I really feel like the drums and guitars on this album are a lot heavier than on the previous record. That is still counterbalanced by how folky some of the melodies are, and obviously the use of the keyboard adds that symphonic element, but also the melody that it generates has a lot of folky elements in it. So while the album is definitely heavier than its predecessor, it still has a lot of folk elements. It's still really well balanced and has a really great dynamic. The album really flows well from track to track. It has this ability to mix heaviness and folky extremely well. Some songs, the pendulum goes more towards the heaviness, and some songs goes more towards the folkiness, and then there's some songs where the balance is absolutely perfect. But when you put all of this together, you have an album that has a very up and down feel all the way through it, and it's the same feel that you're going to get on individual tracks. So the tracks themselves have that up and down ocean vibe of waves, of just peaks and valleys, and then when you listen to the whole record you feel the same way. So they transported the fluidity that each individual song has into the overall fluidity of the album, and that to me allows the record to play extremely well. It allows the record not to become monotonous and repetitive, and just has really great fluidity from the first to the last track. Now, the darkness of the vocals is another element that I want to touch on, because I really feel like it fits perfectly with the heaviness that this record has, but also with the folky elements that are present in the album. It really counterbalances both. It adds heaviness to the already existing heaviness, but at the same time it plays extremely well with the over-the-top melodic aspects of the album. So it really has a foot on each side of the fence, if you will, and that to me is something that allows the album to have a lot of life, a lot of dynamic forward motions to it. One thing I would like to see from these guys is perhaps go with a more darker, folky kind of song. Think about a power metal album and how they incorporate ballads in towards the middle of the song, really breaking down the record. I feel like this band really has all the components necessary to really create a folk song, but one that's very dark, not as fast tempo, a little bit slower, but very dark and somber. They have all the right condiments within themselves to really create something like that, and in my opinion, that would really suit the album well. It would give the chance for the listener to catch a break, because their albums are very high tempo, are very high octane. So when you incorporate a song like that, it really allows the album to be more spaced out, and it adds a different dynamic to it. They didn't do that in this record, they didn't do that in the previous record, but I would like them to see, as they're progressing, as I saw a progression from the previous record to this record as far as the sound is concerned, I would like to see them take an approach as far as the overall structure of the record and incorporate something perhaps a little bit more aura character, something darker, something slower. It's not present on this record, but perhaps something to think about as they continue to move forward. Overall, to me, this album is better than their previous record. I really love their debut album, but to me this is a more complete album. I felt that it was more mature, it was cleaner, more robust, better production on this record, 100%. I really felt that this album was a lot better put together. I really like the fact that they increased the heaviness of the songs. The drums are really powerful. The drums, to me, is one of the most powerful elements throughout the whole record. The guitars added a lot of heaviness to their sound, and they still kept the folkiness. They still kept the party atmosphere that's really something, it's their core DNA. So I like the fact that they included something new, that they added something new, but they still kept every single thing that is Verikalpa from the previous record onto this record. So overall, to me, this is a more complete album. It has a more complete sound, and I really like where they're going with their sound. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I want to start with the name of the album, Tuoppitanssi. I really like this song. This was a song that, in my opinion, starts off with a very folky melody, but once the vocals come in, the heaviness, the harshness, really takes over the track. You still feel like the folkiness is there, that melody is still there, but to me, the heaviness starts to take over the sound that's coming off of this song. When I look at this song, I felt, listening to it, that this song is a sandwich. I really felt that there was heaviness in the core of the song, but that core is surrounded by a lot of folky melody. So it really has, it feels like there's three sound waves coming at you when you're listening to it. You really feel like there's one melody, then a really core spinal cord of heaviness, and then another different melody that adds to the overall melody of the track. So I really like that balance, that structure, that sound, that approach. It really gave this song a very robust sound. They used the choir of vocals as a middle bridge of the track, and then they continue with that as the song progresses. I really like the atmosphere that it gave the song. It really allowed the song to feel like a party song. It felt like they were singing in a bar all together, having some drinks. So that atmosphere really got transported to the listener in how the song was constructed, but also in how the elements were used. Definitely a song of two halves. You really feel like it's a lot heavier in the first portion of the song, still with folk elements, and then a lot more folky after that bridge and losing a little bit of its heaviness. Next is Varjosahti. This is a song that, in my opinion, is really heavy on the drums, and that's something that you're going to get throughout the album, but perhaps on this song it feels like it's more predominant all the way through. In the chorus, the song really picks up in tempo and in intensity, more melodic and slower, in my opinion, in the verses. It's a song that has that dynamic of verses and chorus, these two different worlds struggling for position. Definitely, the chorus really is one of the main components, but you could feel the difference between the two. You really feel like one is a lot more melodic, more dynamic, while the other one is a little bit more heavier, more slower. But that, to me, still works extremely well. It still allows them to combine those two worlds and really give you a representation of what the whole album is about in one single song, which is this struggle between heaviness and folkiness, and how we can keep these two worlds from colliding against each other, but and instead of doing that, have them work in perfect harmony in order to give a song a life and make the song really robust. To me, this song has perhaps the most demolishing sound of any other song on the album. I really feel like this is one of the heavier tracks on the album, and perhaps that's from the drums. The drum track on this song is extremely heavy, extremely brutal, and I really like that. It really pushed the song, it really moved the song forward, if you will. Last but not least, Haaksi. This song is a perfect mixture of the previous two. I really felt that it really blended heaviness and folk to perfection. Perhaps the song that does it the best out of every single song on the album. The chorus really sets the song apart, and in my opinion has to do with the choirs. They use them throughout the album, sometimes as a bridge, sometimes in the verses, sometimes in the chorus. In this specific song, they used the choirs in the chorus. What that did for this specific song is it created a track that feels like a battle hymn. That is the feel that you get listening to this song. It's a straightforward song. You really don't feel a break between the verses and the chorus. They flow extremely well from one to the other. They're almost seamless, the difference between one and the other. Where you find the differences is in the vocal track and how the vocals are coming at you. So I really like the choir in the chorus. It gives that hymn vibe, and it works extremely well. Following the second chorus, they used a little bit of vocal humming, almost like the choir. Instead of singing, they went with humming, and I really like that as well, because that added a very different atmosphere. It still had that battle hymn vibe, but it had a more somber feel to it, a little bit more darkness into that melody, and I really like that. And to me, that allowed the song to be broken, a little bit broken there, and it allows the song to reset itself by bringing the chorus right back again right after it. So it really gives the song a very unique dynamic, a very unique style in how they use the vocals on this song. by using choirs, by using humming, and your regular vocals that you're going to get throughout the record. So in this track they used 3 different styles of vocals, and all of them gave the song something different, gave the song a very unique characteristic. And to me, a song that really blends the previous 2 and gives you a synopsis perhaps of what this album is all about, which is a lot of different approaches as far as the vocals are concerned, a lot of different blends of heaviness and melody. This song is the perfect example of that. Alright guys, this is it. This is Verikalpa with Tuoppitanssi, out February 21st on Scarlet Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care guys.